fifth grade, and welcome back to another day of Parts of Speech Boot Camp. We are still talking about nouns today. We've already done common and proper nouns and looked at the meaning of pronouns. So now we're going to be looking at something you've actually been talking about since you were probably in first or second grade. So this lesson won't be very long. It's a big review. We are going to be looking at singular and plural nouns. I know you know this. We are going to be looking at some trickier words than you would have experienced in first or second grade, so get ready to turn that brain on, dust it off if necessary. But let's go see what we're going to do today. All right, let's talk about the word singular. Think really hard about what the root word of singular would be. Let me give you a hint. My grandfather used to call those singles. How many singles do you have in your pocket? Would mean how many $1 bills did you have in your pocket? Okay. Singular means one, just like single, which is the root word for singular. So this is a single dollar bill. In this picture, you see a single person. You will get a single attempt on your test at the end of Parts of Speech Boot Camp. One try. So singular nouns name one person, one place, one thing. Okay, that's great. But what do we do when we have not just one of something? What about when we have $3 bills or triplets? 3 people, even if they're not exactly the same person. Well, we call those plural nouns. Plural simply means more than one. So plural can mean 2. Plural can also mean 2 million. So there's no indication in plural whether it's a small amount over 1 or a huge amount over 1. It just has to be more than 1. So $1 becomes many dollars. One person becomes people. So plural nouns name more than one person, more than one place, and more than one thing. So how do we change those singular nouns to become plural nouns? Well, sometimes it's simple. Regular nouns can be turned from singular into plural simply by adding an S on the end. And sometimes we need an ES on the end. Well, let's look at these that just add an S. One boy, many boys. I just added an S. One girl, many girls. One dog, many dogs. One cat, many cats. One house, it ends in an E already. I just need to add an S to have many houses. Some words require that you add the ES. Usually those words end in an S, an X, a CH, a Z, or an SH. It's a lot to remember, but it looks, well, you'll understand it looks funny. If I already have boss, BOSS, I'm not going to add just an S, BOSSS. Doesn't even look like a real word. I know I'm going to have to add ES to make boss says. Box would also look funny with just an S. I need an ES to make it boxes. Church is churches, and crash crashes. Part of the reason you don't study these things until later is because you've been reading now for many, many years. Do you realize you've been reading now for more years than you weren't reading? Like, you've spent more of your life as a reader than you've spent as a non-reader, which is pretty cool. But now you get a feeling for what words actually look like, and you kind of get that. Oh, that doesn't look right when you write a word and it's not spelled right. You may not always know what the right way is to fix it. I don't, but I can look at a word and go, something's off. That's not quite right. Sometimes when words end in Y, we have to do a little switcheroo. You take the Y away and you add an I in its place and then add ES. Like candy. You can have one candy or many candies. The Y goes away. You put an I in its place and add ES. Same thing for baby. One baby ends in a Y. Take the Y away and add an IES, and you have babies. That's how we make those words plural. And then those pesky words that end in O, unfortunately, there's not a great rule. And there are many words where either way is acceptable. If you look up potato, somebody was asking me if you have plural potato, do you have potatoes or do you have potatoes? And we decided as a class the answer was taters, but that doesn't help us here. If you have potato and you have more than one potato, you can add an S or you can add an ES. And if you look that up in the dictionary, it tells you both are acceptable. My personal preference is to add an ES because I think it looks funny with just an S, but it doesn't matter what I think because the dictionary says either one's right. Now these are some great rules, okay? We can follow the rules. The problem comes when you have words that are rule breakers. These are words that don't follow any kind of rules, and there's a bunch of them, and they're just words that you just have to learn, and most of you already know them already. You know that when we have more than one person, we have people. The whole word changed. You also probably know that we don't have if we have one mouse, we don't have many mouses. It sounds wrong, right? It's many mice. And not like Minnie Mouse, but MANY, many. So knife, the F changes to a V, and you add an S for many knives. One goose, you don't have many gooses, you have geese. Problem with that is you don't go from one moose to many meese. See, these are rule breakers. They live by their own rules. I don't have childs. I do not have a room full of childs. I have a room full of children. This one's kind of gross. You can have one louse, but most of the time people have many lice. That's the way they like to travel. So this one is interesting. You have one man, and the thing that changes to make man plural is that vowel A in the middle becomes an E. One man, many men. We'll look at the same thing for woman. In woman, there's an A, and when you change it, it changes just like man to men. It changes one man to many women. So the rule here, there's not a real rule, is the same for both. This one is unlike any other. You have one ox and many oxen, but I don't have one box and many boxen. I have boxes. Sorry, this thing keeps appearing and I want it to go away. And we're going to wait just a second. There it goes. These are the trickiest of all, where the singular part of the singular word and the plural word are exactly the same. You have to pay attention to the context of the sentence. So if I have one fish in the fish tank, that's singular. If I have 10 fish in the fish tank, that's plural. And I use the word fish both times. I have to pay attention to the context of the sentence. One fish, one, is singular. 10 fish is more than one, so it's plural. Same thing with deer. I can have one deer in the backyard, or I can have many deer in the backyard. Deer, deer. Moose, moose. They don't change. That's what makes it tricky. So let's look at what you're going to be doing today with singular and plural nouns. You're going to identify the nouns in the following sentence as singular or plural. And here's the sentence. The teacher reminded his students to bring their pencils to school every day. So teacher. Is this one teacher or many teacher? Well, it's one teacher, so it's singular. Is this one students or many students? It's many students, so it's plural. So that's the first thing you're going to have to do. Then there's another sentence. The mother took her 3 daughters to the store to pick up treats for the party. Then it's going to ask you to turn the following singular nouns into plural nouns. So I've given you some tricky ones, and I've given you some not so tricky ones. Boy, do I add an S? Boys, do I add an ES? Boys, do I add an apostrophe S? Let me ask you this question. Have I said a single thing about an apostrophe? I have not, because you never use an apostrophe to make anything plural. Apostrophe shows possession, and we'll talk about that next time. This time, no. Don't choose anything with an apostrophe. There, that's free. Okay? We went over child just a minute ago, and you've seen box already today. We have school. I told you about fish, so if you're watching this video, you're getting some free answers. Book, class, grade, knife. I told you about this one. There's some free answers. Dress. And then you'll click next for the next section. So go get this part done, and I'll see you in the next video. It'll be much shorter.